and welcome. I wanted to make this video briefly outlining how you can play with T1 and T2 mites at a relatively competitive level at a relatively high cup range. In this instance I'm running a T1 mite with all T1 upgrades and I'm playing in approximately the 1400 cup range. Here, as I'm approaching the middle of the battle, you'll notice that capture point D is being captured. So that obviously means that there is an enemy there. So instead of rushing, I'll just position myself out of the way, and there he is. So I can see that he doesn't know that I'm here, and he's on his way obviously to attack someone else, or see what he can find. So at the princely speed of 72 kilometers an hour with my T1 mite, I'll go over and see what he's doing, and see if I can ruin his strategy. It's a bit of luck that I actually appear behind him. A Sting mite. With my T1 manglers and a little bit of help from those Sting, no more. Now, what a lot of new players will do at this stage is they'll probably spot the next enemy and they'll start running off to try and cause as much damage as possible. But usually the best strategy when you've taken out an opponent, particularly if you've taken them out in an ambush or a particularly valiant way, is just to loiter and hide near the point where they were killed. And the next thing you know, their psychology will drive them to rush back into that location to try and get revenge. There he is. This time he's in a Mangler mite. He doesn't know that I'm here, he's busy focusing on someone else, so I'll just try and position myself behind him, EMP, and see if I can get him again. Yes. I shouldn't be firing both Manglers here, but okay, short work. Again, I'll just stay out of the way. There's no point in trying to engage that cormorant. Now, there we go. I've still got cover that I can retreat onto, but he knows what's best for him, so he's running away. So, what's my next port? I'll just hide again in the same spot and just see what I can see. I'm not going to rush out and expose myself, because this mite is very vulnerable. I barely took a couple of hits there, and you'll see that I'm already red on my torso. So I'll just review my environment, I'll scan and look for another enemy to engage. That cormorant is got too much open space between us, I'm already somewhat damaged, so I'll pick another target. That Mao over there looks ideal. Now, he's not looking at me, he's not engaging me, so I have the advantage here. So, similar to what I described at the beginning, I'm not going to go through the capture point to otherwise alert them of my presence. I'll take the top route here so I don't capture it and see if I can ambush him. Ah, this looks good. I'll just drop in behind him and see if I can EMP. But I did it too far away and I did not manage to get him, and I didn't even manage to disarm him. But using the terrain I am able to avoid most of his damage. T1, especially light titans, are extremely vulnerable. Usually if you get exposed and make a mistake, it means death. But unlike a lot of other games, especially mobile games, which have a linear upgrade system, if you play with a bit of skill with a T1 Titan in Battle of Titans, you can still do a lot of damage and have a very satisfying gameplay experience. So, that Mao has forgotten about me at this point. He probably thinks that I'm not a threat. So I'll use the terrain and his attention to now sneak up on him again. This time I won't miss with my EMP, and I will relieve him of at least one of his hammers. And this is one of the failings with the T1 Manglers, and why ultimately my recommended build is, or recommended budget build, is a T1 anything with T2, or possibly even T3 weapons. It's much cheaper and quicker and easier to upgrade your weapons rather than everything in a Titan, and if you upgrade your weapons first you'll end up doing more damage, which earns you more EC, and in turn allows a quicker acquisition of upgrades. I'll loiter around up here and see who drops nearby. Okay, there's already another Mao down there. Let's see if I can get the jump on him. He's already on fire. See if I can just relieve him of his weapons. Okay, there wasn't much left on him. Now this gentleman here, I've played against him many times, never spoken to him. He's a very, very spry player. I'm going to try and sneak up behind him and cripple his Nelly with my T1. Oh, I'm taking hits. Okay, no. Okay. Overall, though, let's see what I got. 1400, 47.2. Not bad. So now I'm going to drop a T2 Might, which has all T2 upgrades, as well as T2 Manglers, also with T2 upgrades, a T2 Folgar, also with T2 upgrades. The performance boost is substantially better than a T1, and I've got much more speed, much more firepower. But with a Might, with any Light Titan, it always attracts the same sort of playstyle. Very cautious, try and use the cover, always spring at the last moment. Try not to put yourself out in the open, like I did just then. I do come across some players who use jump capacitors. I always elect for accelerators. I've found that they do increase your jump distance substantially, but also being able to change directions quickly in the Might means that it's easier to throw off javelins. And in this update they still have the uncanny ability to hit your legs. Okay, I see a Nelly there. He hasn't seen me, although if he was paying attention he'd notice that capture point C is currently being taken. So I'll just hang back. I'll wait for him to spot another enemy and engage. Try and close the gap here. A sting Nelly. He's probably wrestling with the camera angles, so I'll use this as an opportunity to attack. Now, I don't want him to jump off, so I will cripple him, even though my Manglers have not reloaded, and shear off a couple of his weapons. Okay, good. Actually, I'll go for his legs. You can see the T2 Manglers with the added upgrade slot and with the added magazine capacity. They really have a lot more damage capacity. I'm very vulnerable up here. I want to try and make this as quick as I can, but I also want to get as much EC as I can by shearing off as many components. I'll keep shuffling around to try and stay off target from that Mao. Nice. Now, I'm willing to bet this is not a T1 Nelly. He's absorbing a substantial amount of damage. There we go. Now, here I got a little bit cocky, and I thought I would try and play hide and seek with this Mao. Try and drop down on top of him. It didn't quite go as I expected. I got my timing wrong, and I'm about to get blown into smithereens. But still, I'm not displeased with that. Prior to dropping that T2, I actually dropped a T1, and I think between the two of them, scored 3,000. That's not bad. But I do have to emphasize that death is frequent and swift, especially when you're running T1 equipment, and T2 for that matter. But it's something that you just have to become accustomed to when playing the game. As soon as you stop caring about trying to score, you end up having a lot of fun. And in saying that, I'll just leave you with some survival tips for your T1 and T2 Mights, or any Titans for that matter. Number 1, be patient. Before rushing in, survey your environment, identify your enemies and plan accordingly. Don't move around too much unless you consider the path you're about to take and calculate the opportunities you'll have to take cover and avoid exposing yourself. Number 2, practice situational awareness. Once you've identified your enemies, use your environment strategically. The game does not reward rushing in without exceptionally good timing and a bit of chance. Number 3, use your team. Whether you're part of a squad or not is irrelevant. If you keep out of sight and lurk near your teammates, chances are they'll serve as an ideal lure for the enemy to reveal themselves. A friendly Sting Nelly is often irresistible for an enemy Might, which makes for an easy ambush. And number 4, always upgrade your weapons first. If you're just starting out, kit out your T1 Might with upgrades by all means, but always focus on getting your weapons up to T2 first. They'll enable you to do more damage, which will make you more deadly, and in turn earn you more EC. And then when eventually you upgrade your might to T2, I'd focus on upgrading your weapons to T3, and so on. Overall, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it's given you some insight into the strategies you can use to play Battle of Titans. See you on the battlefield!